Hello and welcome back to 365 Days with mxmtoon. I'm Maia, a singer, songwriter, video maker, Oakland native, and a state traveler. I'm also a huge history nerd. I love untold stories, gross facts, hidden secrets, anything weird, dark, and funky from the past. Each day I'm going to share some of my favorite deep cuts with you, so let's dig into today's stories.
It's 365 with mxmtoon. New facts every day, so don't leave too soon. I'm gonna teach you stuff, no it won't be tough. Gonna go a year till you've had enough. It's 365 mxmtoon.
Today, in 1846, Iowa became the 29th state of the United States. President James Polk signed the bill that changed Iowa from a territory into a state. Iowa had originally been part of the Louisiana Territory and then was shuffled around to the Missouri Territory, Wisconsin Territory, and Michigan Territory before becoming its own territory in 1838. The border was decided the next year when Missouri and Iowa fought over the specific place that the border would be. Luckily, the fight was all talk and no battle, and it was totally bloodless, so it became called the Honey War. Iowa and Missouri were fighting over a 9.5-mile wide strip of land that extended across the entire border. There was unclear wording in the Missouri Constitution on the boundaries and where they were supposed to be, as well as confusion with regard to Native American treaties. It wasn't just called the Honey War because it was a bloodless conflict. It also did involve some actual honey. An angry Missouri resident went over the border and cut down some bee trees holding honey in Iowa. The two sides did come at each other with pitchforks and other farming implements, but nobody hurt each other and a settlement was reached between the two states. That was in 1839, so Iowa still had a couple years to go till statehood. The U.S. government had already set up a streamlined process for territories to become states. The Northwest Ordinance had established rules for new states to form governments. Territories had to have 60,000 residents before they could apply for statehood. Iowa was ready to apply for statehood in 1844, and they already had over 75,000 residents. At the time, there had to be an equal number of states that allowed slavery and states that didn't. Iowa didn't want to allow slavery, so they had to be admitted at the same time as a slave state, and that ended up being Florida. The two became states within a year of each other because of their intertwined processes. Iowa wrote a constitution and had it approved, and then became a state on December 28, 1846. In practice, this meant rights, like Iowan citizens being able to vote for president, elect senators and representatives to Congress, construct a state legislature, and elect their own governor and judges. In the following years, Iowa attracted lots of settlers, and the population of the state tripled in the 1850s. When the Civil War broke out 15 years later, Iowa was a part of the Union, or the North. No battles took place in Iowa, but the state sent lots of supplies to the armies in the East, and more than 75,000 men from Iowa served in the army, and 13,001 of them died. Iowa's proportion of men who joined the army was higher than any other state. Iowa was an important part of the Underground Railroad, helping enslaved people escape from the South to Canada. From there, Iowa went on to have an illustrious history, bringing us computers, vending machines, and Herbert Hoover, the first Iowan to be elected president in 1928. Iowa is the largest producer of corn in the United States, with around 2.5 billion bushels harvested per year. One thing that has really put Iowa on the map is that it's the site of the first presidential primary. It takes the form of a caucus, which is different from a regular election. In most primaries, registered voters go to the election spots to cast their paper ballots. In contrast, the Iowa caucus is more of a meeting where Iowans gather at their local caucus spots, discuss the candidates, and then vote by standing in an area of the location designated to their candidate. The number of people in each candidate's area is then counted, and this is how the winner is determined. This gives the political opinions of Iowans a huge effect on the outcome of presidential primaries. We better hope that they take that job seriously. Now let's talk about some fun Iowa facts. It's the only state that is bordered by rivers on both the western and eastern sides. The Missouri River and the Big Sioux River border on the west, and the Mississippi borders on the east. But not all the facts about Iowa are fun. In 1959, a plane carrying Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper crashed in the city of Clear Lake, and all the musicians died. State-wise, Iowa is bordered by Minnesota to the north, Wisconsin and Illinois to the east, and Missouri in the south. Obviously, we can't forget the Honey War, and Nebraska and South Dakota to the west. The capital, Des Moines, is in the southern central area. Today, about 3 million people live in Iowa. Its nickname is the Hawkeye State. Its tree is the oak, and its flower is the wild rose. Today, in 1988, Usher filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles against fashion company Tommy Hilfiger. Why? The brand had an ad campaign centered around the movie The Faculty, a horror film set at a high school in which Usher starred. Usher sued Tommy Hilfiger for overusing his image from the film without proper compensation, and he sued them for $1 million. On the one hand, Usher probably has had enough money already, but on the other hand, everyone deserves to be paid when their image is plastered all over Midtown Manhattan. And now for today's final segment, I'm going into my own photo archives to see what I was up to on December 28th in my life. December 28th, I arrived in Japan. I went on a trip at the time to go see my then boyfriend in Japan, and it was the first time that I'd ever gone. The flight was so long. I can't remember what I did on it though. Somehow I passed the time. And that was my first trip. In the last year, I've gone twice, and this was the first time. So yeah, I'm really glad that I'm in the position and super thankful to be in the position that I am in order to go travel. And I think that trip was really cool just to be able to see a new part of the world. I'm sure I will have other highlights to talk about though as well. That's it for today. Let's travel back in time again tomorrow. Remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow along at 365 Days mxmtoon on all platforms.
It's 365 with mxmtoon. New facts every day, so don't leave too soon. I'm gonna teach you stuff, no it won't be tough. Gonna go a year till you've had enough. It's 360